Prinx Lydia. I live in London, but I was born in Tucson, Arizona. I grew up in Cambridgeshire. I am 32. I am a costume designer. Well, I guess fashion designer now. Yeah, I'm a fashion designer. I make clothing for queer individuals. Sometimes I will make garments that use specific types of different body modifications through clothing, basically, and through restrictive clothing wear or whatever it is, maybe adding padding or whatever. I do offer a binder boutique as well, which is basically I offer a service where you can come physically try on these different binders with me. I offer 2 brands and 2 different types in all of the sizes available and all of the skin tones available at this time on the market. There's nowhere else that you can actually do that in the whole of Europe at the moment.
Hi, I'm Rubyyy Jones, that's Ruby with 3 Ys, and I'm almost 33, and I'm originally from Canada, Paris, Canada, and I've been living in London for just over 10 years. And since coming to London, I've been a wild, wonderful performance artist around the cabaret scene. So when I first started in my cabaret life, I definitely started by going into burlesque, and actually in a way kind of semi-traditional. They call it now neo-burlesque, and the idea of neo-burlesque is that in some ways it's all the things, aspects of burlesque you recognize and are familiar, but the performance of it and the purpose of it is beyond the male gaze. It's been a really amazing kind of rapid journey of what is burlesque for me. What I realized coming from essentially like a cis hetero background was actually nobody's talking to anyone about this, and if we're not being transparent about needs and wants and real conversations about sex, we're all gonna suffer as a society. And so that was actually my first foray into performance art, was to just talk about sex and make other people talk about it. And as I kind of explored myself in my own body more, and that started with my sexuality, and then I think it actually moved into like my body conditioning and programming, how I saw myself in the world as far as like what was my body for and whose was it. But then later in my life, as my body changed as well, exploring what is sexy and what do we perceive to be sexy, but also who gives a fuck about being sexy, like let's be something else. Doing that the whole time in burlesque has been a really amazing art form to work within, because actually what I've been able to do and where I've been able to go is really special to an industry that is historically a women's industry and historically a sex industry, basically. I always say I moonlight as a burlesque performer, and I'm moonlighting there because I'm so passionate about women and sex. So it's been really wonderful, yeah, just to explore myself and to explore the world through this crazy thing called burlesque.
I tend to do most of the cooking, and mostly because I am a quote better cook, but it's also because I just love it. I love cooking. I've always loved cooking. So today I've made mushroom risotto with all sorts of different types of mushrooms, make my own stock. We've made risotto today because it's a dish that Ruby and I have always had, that we have shared. I learned how to make risotto for Ruby.
The mushroom bruschetta, let's just call it that. We have soy milk, we've got sesame oil, olive oil, a couple different kinds of mushrooms, some fresh parsley, and then that all goes on top of whatever kind of bread you enjoy. May it be gluten-free and whether you enjoy it or not. Usually just garnish with something fresh. Today we had tomatoes and more parsley. So being a queer woman in London, it's strange in a way, because there's, queer is kind of like a buzzword at the moment in our community, and everywhere's queer and everyone's welcoming to everyone until you're there and it's not. And I think there's a lot of steps forward for producers and facilitators of space to consider who's representing space when they're saying something's queer and welcome for everyone. If it's an all cis white male lineup of performers, well, what kind of message is that delivering? So many people come to London from all around the world, and it's one of their first opportunities to be out and to be gay and to be queer and to be free. It couldn't be clearer that we're not desired to be in gay spaces sometimes. I want more spaces that are cultivating queer women's conversations. It's exciting to see spaces that still exist and are pushing, again, queer women's time and energy as being something valuable and something to like celebrate, but not really enough when you think about a city of 10 million people.
Definitely our work brings us together. That is a big part of it. You know, we do collaborate on a lot of things. We're always talking about different ideas. We're always talking about, oh, what do we think we're going to do? And not just about our careers, but also about our lives. Really nice, and that it just brings us together. And usually every day we have a very frank conversation about like, okay, so how are you feeling at the moment? Like, what's going on? Yeah, our house brings us together, our job brings us together, our creativity brings us together, our food brings us together. I just feel like everything that we do is like a team effort.